Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and this is going to be my final reflection. For posts that were mainly highlighting Zach LaVine or his team, and the message in the captions were to encourage him or praise him essentially for doing well. Those typically were the posts that would go on either Instagram or Snapchat, since those are the two apps that a majority of younger people are on. And that would mean that our chances of our page coming across one of theirs on like the Explore page or as a public story on Snapchat was going to be higher than we had on any other social media platform. As for Facebook and Twitter, it was more so to spread kind of like messages to people that we were fans, that we always have been and always will be fans of Zach LaVine. And then Facebook was a little less entertaining in a way than Twitter, since Facebook is really more so for like older people, and they usually aren't as informed about like new players and like new teams, and especially like trades, typically the way a younger audience on maybe Twitter would. And then for YouTube and the blog, that was kind of the best platform that we had to kind of get any player or event analysis like kind of message out, considering that the number of people it would reach is like the max. It's like the biggest platform, since you can just kind of type in the website name or type in like whatever analysis, or like analysis of X, Y, and Z player, and you'll have like a bunch of like a list of videos that pop up. So the chances of ours doing so, that was kind of like the reason we used YouTube and our blog for that, was just to kind of spread the message that, hey, like this is an analysis and here's our opinion on them. And then for the lessons on picking the lessons that most helped me were going to be the ones on picking the right photos to post. And that kind of was the most important thing to me, since I was mainly in charge of posting on Instagram and Snapchat. And with Instagram, the photos are posts and they stay on the account forever until A, the person who owns the account deletes the post, or B, the account itself is deleted. And so kind of with that in mind, I knew that whoever looked at the account was going to see what kind of photos are being uploaded. They're going to be able to read the captions. So along with being a sports fan myself, obviously to certain players, I dig through sports like fan accounts all the time, and like the players' main Instagrams all the time. And so just to be able to see the photos they use, and some of them aren't necessarily like the greatest. Like one of them will have the players like in the background somewhere and you can't really see them, or they're like cut out of the picture. And so putting it all together, the lesson being taught is that the lesson that taught me the most was the guest interview. And that lesson was kind of the most in the back of my mind when I was picking photos, because I had to remember that there is beauty in different angles and different lighting. And even if there's like 3 people in the photo with the right lighting and angles, then your eyes are going to focus on the person you want it to focus on rather than the other two. So once again, angles and lighting. And then I would say that the biggest challenge was probably finding photos to post of Zach. He doesn't really post photos of himself all that often, so I found myself having to dig through numerous accounts for like the Kings or Zach LaVine on their multiple social media accounts. And then if that didn't work, then I honestly had to scroll through like the NBA's official account, or I would go to Zach LaVine's account and then looked at his tagged photos to see if any of his teammates or anyone else on the team had possibly uploaded a photo of him. And then the next difficulty was probably finding more photos for Snapchat, just because I didn't want to post the same photos and the captions for both Instagram and Snapchat. So trying to find pictures for both of those were a little bit difficult. Outside of that, though, the most, the problem we probably came across the most was that my groupmate Jasmine and I had trouble with the blog, whether it was having to pay to make an account or not being able to edit because we didn't purchase a domain. So having to kind of find a website different from our peers was kind of a difficult, especially because Jasmine wasn't too experienced in editing, and I'm not necessarily experienced in editing websites either. But it was just, we tried to use WordPress, and it was really difficult to edit. So we ended up having to do a Wix last minute, and I think that was kind of like a really hard part for us. And then the last main difficulty we had to have been my group mates, obviously outside of Jasmine, who were immensely lacking in communication. And that led to her and I having to split the work that was meant for a 4-person semester long group project between just the two of us. And it was really difficult because she has classes, I have classes, like I'm in capstone, so the fact that we kind of had to split 4 people's worth of work between just me and her, that was really, really difficult, especially because our other 2 group mates really didn't communicate that well with us. One of them like dropped out of the semester and didn't let us know, and the other one barely responded to our messages, so that was kind of probably the most difficult. Obviously the one dropping out being Micah and the one not helping being Cam. And then if I had the chance to do this all over again, I honestly would probably pick a different sport or a different player, just because, like, the normal regular NBA season ended about a week before the final group assignment was due, so it was really hard to find, like, extra information about Zach LaVine and the Kings, especially because they were eliminated, kind of, like, right before the next section of, like, NBA games started, so once that ended, it was just kind of, like, done. And so if I did this again, I'd probably pick, like, a sport like hockey, since it goes into, late April, early May, and then sometimes it goes into June, I believe, with, like, the Stanley Cup and all of that. So I probably would have done that, or I might have wanted to do, like, the women's basketball, with, like, March Madness, and then, like, the WNBA draft, or I would have done something with, like, football, since the NFL draft just happened. So yeah, definitely I would, if I did this again, I would pick a team or a sport or a player or anything that would have given me a lot more material to work with over the semester. And then based on the analytics available to me, I would say that my group, honestly, we did pretty well for it just being, like 2-3 of us at times. I would say mainly on Twitter, though, just because every time I logged on to Twitter, I would get, like, I can see notifications of people who, like, replied to our replies, or they replied to what we posted. So that was kind of exciting to see. Other than that, though, I would say that our other accounts didn't really get nearly as much love, though to me that's understandable, because for, like, Instagram and Snapchat, you kind of have to follow a bunch of people and then have them follow you back before you get, like, consistent views. And then same thing with, like, YouTube or, like, the blog. It's kind of like you have to either know about the blog, which means we would have had to been posting it, and then same thing with, like, the YouTube. Sometimes you can search up, like, certain things and, like, specific videos won't pop up, so I wouldn't be surprised if people were trying to look up, like, a video that I did my YouTube video on, and then it just didn't show up as an option. So I would say I would understand that a little bit. And I would just say, though, like, coming from someone who religiously uses social media for personal use, I can see that definitely trying to get a video or a post viral is really, really hard unless you get kind of lucky. But I can say, though, that with everything we did, we might not have gotten the most viral posts or videos or whatnot, but we definitely did get the ball rolling, so it's only a matter of time before it'll kind of pick up momentum, hopefully.